Hey guys, my name is Joy, and today I'm going to be talking about my experience working as a product zone specialist at an Apple store. I'm going to be talking about the interview process, my experience working there, and then eventually about why I quit 3 months later. First, let's start with applying and the interview process. So I initially applied about when school ended, so in May, and I just sent in my online resume, and I just was looking for a summer job, so I waited about a month later, and then I eventually got an email saying that they wanted to do a cell phone interview with me. So I was like, great. And it was actually when I was out of town about to attend a Cubs baseball game. So I had to walk away from the game and go find a cafe to sit in, and I had my iPad out in case I wanted to take notes during the phone call. And yeah, it was only like a 20-minute phone call. It was super quick, and they just wanted to get to know a little bit more about me. In case you wanted to know a little bit more about me, however, I am a junior in college right now studying computer science and Chinese. However, I don't think that you need to have a tech-related focus in order to be hired. Two of the other people who I trained alongside with had nothing to do with tech in their majors. One was planning on being a teacher, and the other was studying to be a nurse. So back to the phone interview. They basically asked me a couple of questions about my experience as a college student and my previous work experience. And then they basically asked me during the phone interview to explain a little bit more about myself. And then my would-be manager explained a little bit more about his own experience working at the Apple store. I just thought of it as more of like a friendly conversation, and I made sure to ask a question or two. I think I asked a question of like what kind of specific qualifications that they wanted for a tech specialist, and that leads into my first tip, which is to ask questions. Asking questions will show that you are interested in the job besides just trying to get in, and that you genuinely want to know what it's like working there. Instead of asking a question like, what's the best part about working at your job, you could say, what is one thing that puts a smile on your face every time you walk through the door? Things like that show that you have a little bit more creativity as well. So I thought the interview went well, and then about a week later, I got another email saying that they wanted to set up an in-person interview with me. So I made sure to come prepared with a couple more questions. I had actually gone to the store not even like a month before school had gotten out to get my phone fixed. So that leads me to tip number 2, which is to actually go to the store. I think it's good to have that experience because during my in-person interview, they asked me a couple of questions like, had you ever been here before? What was your experience like? How could you have improved your experience? And it was interesting because I actually remember the first time I went into the store, it wasn't like the most friendly experience, so I was telling them a little bit about that. And they actually seemed to appreciate my honest feedback, which is really helpful. I think it'd be really good to go to the store and also try and interact with the staff a little bit and just get a feel for like where things are and seeing how organized and like appreciating the store for what it is. For clothes, I actually wore black jeans and just a nice blouse. I wouldn't say to overdo it or anything, but just to be yourself during the interview, be friendly, smile, laugh a lot, and have fun, but also remember you're in a serious interview. I did end up bringing my resume, like a hard copy version, but I found that I didn't even need it, which is nice. Some of the other questions that they asked me were questions like, what motivates me? What's my favorite Apple product? And if I could invent a new one, what would I invent? I know that I looked up a lot of questions on Glassdoor to see what other people had been asked, and I think that those really helped as well. So after that first interview, that was with the same person who I talked to on the phone, by the way. I actually had my second interview with the store leader, and that was about a week, like towards the end of the week. So it was about like 5 days in between that I was waiting. The store leader was actually so friendly as well. Both times the guys were really friendly and just made me feel very comfortable during their interview. Each time that I interviewed, I was only there for about 30 minutes, and it went by really quickly because the people there were really friendly. Overall, from application to hire, it took about 2 months, so I would say another tip that I have is to apply early. Especially if you want to have something during the summer, I would say apply at the end of April, if not earlier. I was hired June 28th, and I began working like a full-time employee, even though I was only part-time. I was working like 6 days a week for 40 hours, and it was really intense, so I don't know if I would be able to do that during like a school year. Unless if your campus is like really close to your work, then maybe you could do that for a month, but it was a lot of work. Being there as a computer science major is pretty cool because I did get to learn more about the products, and I was also able to work alongside other people who had interest in technology too. Apple tries really hard to find good people that fit in with their team, not just people who are like whatever, just looking for a job. Like, they're looking for someone to join the Apple family. So I think it's good to just really have a lot of your personality shine through during the interviews. Okay, so on to why I quit 3 months later. I was basically working approximately 27 hours a week while being a full-time college student, and this is while I was still being a part-time employee. I found that it was just way too much time going into work. I'll even insert a little screenshot of what my calendar looked like here. It was just really intense, and I found that I didn't even have enough time to do all my homework. I was about to also go to Seattle to interview with Microsoft for a computer science internship, and I was going to go to Grace Hopper in October, and I just didn't have any time to prepare for that yet, so I was like, this is way too much. So I eventually did have to quit. Overall, I did really enjoy my time though. We got these cool Hydro Flask water bottles, which is like a cool benefit, and I also got to meet some really nice people. It was definitely one of the best part-time jobs I think I could have ever had. I think that if I could give anyone some resume tips, I would say to just make sure that your resume displays your people skills and your ability to be personable, friendly, and just show times when you've been a leader. I wish you the best of luck if you're applying, and feel free to leave any questions in the comments and I'll for sure reply to them. Later on in October, I actually did end up interviewing with Microsoft and Apple separately for computer science internships, and if you want to see a video about that, feel free to like this video and also leave me a comment. If you want to stick around, feel free to subscribe as well. Thanks for watching!